If I spread out a little bit more.
Go right ahead. So you can always go this way.
I have a system, but make sure what it is.
All right, Mr. Chair, we're good to go.
All right, I'd like to call the planning board meeting to order. Tanya, have you had an opportunity to do the roll call?
I have.
Awesome. That brings us to the approval of planning board minutes. Everybody have an opportunity to take a look at them? Motion to approve. Now a motion and a second. All those in favor? Opposed? All right, motion carries. Tanya, do we have any public comments?
We do not.
Okay. So that brings us to board commission responses. Do you have anything?
We don't send it.
Board commissioners responses, nothing here. Okay, so that brings us to new business.
So we do have, y'all have a list of the applicants for board membership tonight, vacant seats on the board. You have one board applicant on Zoom, that's Tim Woody. When we get to him on the list, we'll bring him in. Chair, we do not have Mr. Bear or Mr. Brown here tonight. Mr. Deaton is here.
Okay. Well, without trying to stir up any conflict or anything, I'm going to accuse myself of this policy. Brooks. You okay, Mr. Brooks?
I'm ready.
I'll be outside.
Okay. Who do we want to hear from first? You want to go to the Zoom people first, or you want to go in the order they're on the list, or what? How would you like to do that?
Oh, it doesn't matter to me. I only have one on Zoom.
Okay. Is Ernest Baird is not here, correct?
Not here.
Mr. Brown, Brett Brown?
Not here.
Charles Deaton? About to stand up, and introduce yourself here, Mr. Deaton.
You're welcome to come over to the podium. We have
Yeah.
a microphone there for the recording.
My name is Charles Deaton. Most people call me Charlie. Live in Albright County, Georgia, excuse me, and lived in Alamance County probably most of my life. I've had the opportunity through business to live in Atlanta, Dallas, Texas, and Monrovia, California. I decided to return back to this county in 1985 to start my business, and I've owned that business since 1985. The things that I feel are important as far as this county is concerned is trying to move this county more into the 21st century. Just kind of watch things as things that progress. We seem to be a little bit behind the times as far as when you take a look at the surrounding counties. We look at Guilford County, Orange County, Chatham, and so forth. These counties seem to be a little bit ahead of us as far as zoning issues, things like that, which I think may have some effect on business wanting to locate in our county. So I'd like to see the county get a little more aggressive in that area. Also, I would love to see the county work toward advancement as far as bringing new high-paying jobs into the area with good companies. But I think we'll also have to be conscious of the environmental aspects of doing that. How do we preserve our environment? How to protect the environment and so forth as we expand. We all know that this county is booming. I mean, when you take a look at the growth, the housing, the new housing developments, mainly in my area, and the Albright area in Southern Alamance County, it is amazing to look and see what is happening there as far as land purchase and so forth. So having a background also in landscape architecture, has worked in, taking a look at, site development, things like this, and I think that might be able to offer some insight on that when it comes to new business coming in, looking at what they want to do, how they want to do it, and also the things that can be done to protect the green space between what they're doing and maybe local neighborhoods along those lines with plant material and so forth. I think it'd be an honor to have an opportunity to serve on board, to share what you guys are doing. I don't know what your plan is for the next 5 to 10 years and what you're trying to accomplish in the near term, but I'd love to be a part of it, and I think I can make a major contribution.
Any questions from anybody?
So, I do have a question. So are you saying you support zoning, countywide zoning, or have you read up on the smaller plan, or any of those things that have been on our agenda here for the last 6 months or so?
I have not had an opportunity to read what they're doing. Yes, I do support government zoning.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions? I think that's everything. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Gray?
No, that's just the microphone.
This is I'm Sandy Ellington Groves. I'm a lifelong resident here in Alabama County. I've been a local real estate agent since 2002. So land use, development, quality of life, everything else, I've done my radar for a few years. In 2015, I had the opportunity to sit on the Joint Facilities Task Force, and I saw firsthand the impact of a lot of the decisions made across the county with different municipalities and different boards intersect and impact each other. And I think being part of the planning process and the decision-making process, being engaged in that up front, gives me a way to be proactive in being involved in what's going on in Alabama County. As a real estate agent, as a lifelong resident, the quality of life here is important in many aspects. I'm now on the school board. I was elected in November for that, and I think being on that board gives me a dual purpose and just being involved in things for the county. So, any questions?
Any questions or anything?
Actually, the same question, you support the small area plan for Snowcan or countywide zoning or not?
I did have an opportunity to attend the session that you guys did in the family, and I do support land development. So I do think it's a good start.
Thank you. I got a smart comment to make, but I'll keep it to myself. No, not for you, not for you, not for you. I was gonna say, agreeing with Bill on everything might not be a good thing. Mr. Woody.
Mr. Woody's gonna be virtual,
Okay,
so we're gonna swap screens.
okay.
So
What
I
do you
should
want to
just
do it now or you want to do it later?
No, now's good.
Okay.
Let me I just unshare one. Yeah.
I just want you to know, Bill, I made several comments on Zoom that said, I don't believe it. I agree with Bill. She never read those. They're on there somewhere.
They're in the archives.
How do you do no share? Is that what
Well,
you
if you wanna share and then just maximize the.
Can you hear me, guys?
Did give you the option? Or stop share is the bottom right, will stop in red. And then if you just, maximize that screen, so we can at least see him while he's talking.
Can you hear me, guys?
Is your computer plugged into the speakers
The speaker's not on.
on that computer at all?
Oh, the computer works, just not.
Can you hear me, guys?
Yeah, the computer works, but those external don't. Mr. Woody, can you speak to see if we can hear you?
Yeah, I'm talking. Can you hear me?
I can't hear him. Hold on.
I'm unmuted.
I'm maxed out.
Anya, I can hear him.
Hello?
Show me fine.
Hello?
No, I think it's okay. So just for everyone to bear with us a little bit, we're gonna have Tim Woody's gonna come down with the speakers.
Okay.
But as you engage with him, we're gonna have the feedback and not gonna so just be prepared for that. All right, Tim,
Can you hear me?
we can.
All right. Okay. So I'm good to go.
Yes.
All right, good. Well, thank you for allowing me to zoom in, first of all. I know that can be a little aggravating. So I want to thank you for allowing me to do this. I'm out of town for some business, so I wasn't quite able to get back in time. So my name's Tim Woody. I live in the Pleasant Grove area. I spent the last 33 years in public service. I've worked for both the Department of Environmental Quality. I've worked as the Assistant Utilities Director for the town of Garner in Wake County. And the last 19 years of my career, I worked as the Division Director in Water and Wastewater Services for the City of Raleigh. I'm very familiar with governance and policy. I know what good governance looks like. I've read. Pardon?
Do you mind speaking a little louder?
Okay. All right, I can do that. I've read the land development plan that I think was adopted back in November. I think, the role or a role of a board member would be to support the planning department. I know whose mission is to create and implement policy based on that development plan. So that would be, one of my goals is to take that plan and look for ways to implement it and utilize it for this county. I'm a big fan of public engagement policy, and being involved with public service has been my passion for many years. And I'd like to be involved here in Alamance County. So that's really it. Does anyone have any questions for me?
I just got a technical question. The application says Board of Health. Was that a mistake?
Yeah, I had applied to be on the Board of Health, but they said and I interviewed, but they wanted, I think they wanted a clinical person, so they actually used that. And then I was called and asked if I would be interested in this one, and I was very happy to be involved in this one too. So I guess they just took the same application and used it first for the Board of Health and the planning board.
Right. Wait on me. No, I'm good. He's already put face on the land development. So, thank you, Mr. Woody.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate your time.
This is
I know. I'll say this is being recorded, so everybody knows I get billed all the time. I'm full of what too. So now, Mr. Cobb, he's working, correct?
Yes, he presented you all last time we were doing this, so unfortunately he can't be here tonight, but y'all have heard him before.
Okay. I'll say no at least once, not twice. Mr. Pierce?
Evening, everybody. I'm Anthony Pierce. I live out in the Millville area by way of a Hall River address with a neighbor on the right with a grand address and a neighbor on the left with a better address. But my street is Hall River and behind us is getting annexed into Grand. But I have a beautiful wife and 3 lovely kids. This little personal note. Been in Alamance County, my wife kind of drugged me in here. I work in county government down in Durham as a paramedic, so public service been near getting my heart to work in the private sector now in cancer research, developing lung cancer drugs. I work from home, have a really flexible schedule, which allows me to be able to attend board meetings and keep up with what's going on out in this county. As everybody knows, Alamance County is beautiful. And having lived in the county gives me an opportunity to ride around and just enjoy, farmland and green space and natural resources that are right here in these 424 square miles. But also, you might can't tell, but I ride a bike too a little bit. I get to ride in the county because there's not much happening. So I get a chance to see and just take in the sights and kind of see the residents as I ride on the bike out in the county. The planning department or the planning board, it's a tough job because you have to keep in mind how to keep this county beautiful, and also what's inevitable is growth and development. And so, me, if I was able to come to the board, I would offer another set of eyes for one, another perspective to help support and collaborate to make these tough decisions that this board has made time and time again. I have reviewed the plan for the county, as well as heard Mr. Paisley mention of exploring the countywide zone. I think it's a pretty good idea. Definitely something that I would be indeed interested in collaborating with the board to see if we can implement that to make sense while considering every obstacle that may come up to make sure that we keep, the key tenets of the board in mind when we make those decisions. I love to collaborate and kind of help get things done. And so I feel like I can bring something fresh to the table, help out wherever I can, and also have a flexible schedule enough I can attend board meetings. And also reach out to the public if needed, or welcome the public's feedback and help people consider that as we make decisions. So that's me. Any questions? I'll open it up to everyone. Yes,
I
sir.
have one.
Go right ahead.
It says you're already on a board in Alamance County, LEPC.
Yes, I was appointed in 5 years ago now, maybe longer, the LEPC committee, but I've been on that committee helping out as a member at large.
Okay.
And they actually meet on today too, but in the mornings.
What is LEPC?
That was
Local
my question.
Emergency Planning Committee. So they handle any disasters as it relates to chemicals that will occur in this county. So we keep track of any big company that has chemicals on site. So our first responders and the county personnel know what is housed there and how to plan if there was a disaster. And then we also make recommendations and so forth as it relates to disaster drills. So there was an incident in this county, multi-agency approach. And so I sit on that committee to kind of help out whenever needs it. Yes, sir.
Is it a county board or what type of board is it?
It is. It was actually appointed by the county commissioners a few years back, and I applied to that committee and accepted and been there ever since.
Question I should.
No worries. I think I received the Citizen of the Year award right here in this room for being on that board. Committee. That's been a few years, pre-COVID.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Now, yeah, I'm kind of full of questions.
Absolutely.
I know you're married, 3 kids, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 boards or memberships you're on. And you got time to do all this?
Oh, they're less active.
Okay.
Meaning it won't really be a time issue. And I'm kind of used to work from home. You kind of get a lot less. There's a lot less to be able to attend things. And some of those meetings are only once a month, and then even the LEPC, we're once a quarter. I think our last meeting was, we skipped February, it was last year, so that lets you know how what the commission is.
Okay, we just had a couple, you know, we're a 13-member board.
Mhm.
So to have a quorum, we gotta have 7 people here.
Oh.
And then last year, we spent half the year trying to get enough people here to have a meeting. So that's why I asked. I'm not saying that you're not volunteering. That's the reason behind it.
That's a great question. And it helps that I'm on 6 minutes down the road. So I can get here.
I do, yes, sir. Now, so it's Melville Township?
Yes, sir, right in front of the,
Melville?
Yes.
the new Graham Park, new, a good way to say you know,
Melville.
Okay, so it is Mel.
It is Melville.
Okay, it is Mel. Okay, because you got Hall River on here.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's my.
I've
city
got the
address.
town, he's in
Oh, that's
the
right, you're on
address
there.
of Hall River, but I have our townships on the front page.
Okay, I knew I'd seen it somewhere. Okay. Yeah, because,
They don't all mean the same thing.
right, because,
I was told it depends on who delivers your meat.
No,
That's what I was
because the
told.
post office has a whole different system than city limits, which is a whole different system than township.
yeah, they moved me to Green Level one day. So I called the post office and they said, no, man, we delivered from Burlington. You're still Burlington. I'm like, okay.
Now, if you miss your package, you gotta go to Mebane to pick it up. That's how it works.
Okay, now. I
That
ain't
is not us. That
I
has
was
nothing
saying,
to
I'm
do
not
with
that bad. Did you have something, Mr. Page?
And he also ran for a position last year, correct?
2 years ago, yes, sir. Yeah.
You might want to tell us more what he ran for.
Oh, sure, I ran for county commissioner and I came in fourth in the primary, so I didn't make the general. Still continue to be active, because just as you lose, don't mean you don't hear about the county, it's working on it.
We were in forums together and say he did a good job running for that position.
Yeah, because I finished third at Soil and Water. So yeah, I know about, not quite getting there. Yeah, I know all about that.
You gotta have short-term memories without the life. I'm not gonna remember how long.
So what, I do have a question, what would it be, with all your talents and skills and, things that you've been involved with, what would be your talent that you could offer the planning board?
One of the biggest talents, I think, is just that collaboration experience, and leadership experience. I've been in several meetings at the table where we had all different ideas and all different thoughts and so forth. And I was able to bring the group together and help us come up with a working solution. And so having over 20 years of that, leadership, being in management, and being on different committees, from working with people from all diverse backgrounds, I think that's probably one of my strongest skill sets to help us move forward. To come up with some type of work, we may not agree 100% one way or the other, but at least we have something to work with when we have to do this. I mean, that was my top skill set that I bring to the board. And part two would be just my research background. So we have a project on the table. I've been in research for over 15 years, so I'm actually do the work, the research, so we can come up with a thought through response. You know, or instead of just kind of coming off the top of the head or what I think. Something that the research thought through, considered, and be able to present it.
That's a good answer, because you're not like me that just fly off the handle. Any more questions or anything? Thank you very much for your time.
No problem, appreciate it.
Now, Tanya says that Ernest Baird is on Zoom now,
And this will switch up again.
so we're gonna go backwards. I apologize.
All yours, Jim.
Okay. Mr. Baird, if you want to unmute yourself if you're muted and talk to us, we're gonna be quiet for a little bit because there's feedback.
Okay, so, what do y'all want to know? I mean, what do I need to?
Well, just tell us about yourself. Why you want to get on the planning board, what you can bring to the table.
Well, I've been on the town council out in Ospey for 14 years now. I helped on the planning and zoning for the town of Ospey when we started that. I worked for North Carolina Department of Transportation for 32 years. This coming July, I'm heavily involved in the Boy Scouts of America for about 35 years. And just would just like to try to help Alamance County grow.
What part of the DOT you been with?
Traffic services with the markings and lines in the road and directing traffic and setting up traffic control and traffic patterns and things like that.
Okay. I was just going to ask, both sides of my road, but I guess you can't help that. I'm sorry. Anybody got any questions or anything?
It's not like that.
I think a real loud squeal, maybe from one of y'all mics, maybe, I don't know. When y'all start speaking, I get a real loud squeal.
Yeah, it's feedback from the microphone.
Oh, okay.
All right. I'll ask you the same question about the countywide zoning support of or not support of, and then if you could follow the land development ordinance and the small area plan for the southern part of the county.
Right, and I apologize for being here tonight. I had a meeting at Ace Speedway dealing with the Boy Scouts, Cub Scouts Pinewood Derby race this evening, and it ran longer than expected, or I'd have been there in person.
Did you hear Bill's question?
No, I didn't.
Okay. I'll repeat it. I wanted to get your input on whether you support countywide zoning or not, and if you've been following the land development ordinance and the small area plan for the southern part of the county.
I haven't been following the land development ordinance, and not sure that I would support countywide ordinance. I guess it would just depend on what the ordinances would be. I mean, I don't think we need to restrict a whole lot of the farmlands in the rural areas from what they are for the, try to keep them like they are. But then again, there may be some instances where they need to be developed.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you very much, Mr. Barrett.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Gonzalez, did I say that correctly?
Hi, everybody. I'm Joshua Canzona. I live in Thompson Township. I just found out when I applied for the board that it's the actual township. I live in Swepsonville. Sometimes I watch the news too much and it gets me in a bad mood. I want to say that being in this meeting tonight has greatly improved my outlook. There's a lot of good people here who care about the county, and it does wonders to see that. I was sitting with some friends earlier, and I said I had to, we have plans, I have to cancel the plans. When I go tonight to the planning board, they said, why would you do such a thing? Why are you doing that? And I said, well, I thought about it on the way out here, and I thought, I care about my community, and I think we have an obligation to serve our communities in the best way we can. I grew up in rural North Carolina, born and raised, and I think this is a value that I picked up as a kid, and it's carried with me still today. If you looked at my application materials, you'll see I have a broad education background. What that amounts to is that I know how to do my homework and I know how to show up on time for every meeting and participate. So I make that commitment to you, absolutely. Professionally, I work in, I'm an ombudsman which makes me a conflict resolution professional. I don't know if we have any conflicts in meeting resolution. But the skills involved in this work, listening carefully to all sides of an issue, being able to advise in an impartial way, and being able to facilitate meetings, provide coherence and clarity wherever I can. These same skills, I think, served me well when I lived in Winston-Salem. I served on a variety of city committees. Most importantly, was a grant committee that reviewed every grant that the city gave to nonprofit organizations. We worked with $4 million a year, and I was on an anti-poverty committee as well that worked with $1 million. It was hard work. It was sometimes contentious. It was sometimes tedious. We read thousands and thousands of pages of materials. But I did the job every time, and I view that as experience that I think has served me well with you all. I read the land development plan from 2020, I think it was. And the first thing I did when I moved out was read that plan. And I liked it. I felt that it was informed with a sense of purpose. I understood why things were being done. I understood the values and goals of the plan, that we're trying to balance a growing county population, but while also preserving a sense of identity, making sure people have a safe, good place to live. So in terms of holistic planning or countywide zoning, I really can support that. I think a holistic approach is often best. So I think that's the short pitch. Give me questions I can answer.
I have one. Go ahead. Rural North Carolina, what part of North Carolina did you grow up in?
Sure. Yeah, I was born in Mount Airy and grew up in Rural Hall until I was 18. Then I went all over the country, came back about 6 years ago. And day one, first thing I did when I came back was I looked for a way to serve on committees and help the city. And moved to Alamance County just about 7 months ago. I'm going to San Jose.
So you only been in Alamance County 7 months? Okay.
Was that just to get closer to Chapel Hill for work?
Yeah, it was part of it. I mean, I almost moved to Orange, but I felt like I was cold and I'm home.
That's back when we had cheaper taxes than Orange County. We won't discuss that right now.
I very much like it. I realize it's a learning curve having moved here just under a year ago, but I try and learn something new every day. And I'd say one thing I appreciate about Alamance is the nature. I've been on every hiking trail, I think, in Alamance already. And, I love it.
I don't know if you want to put up with us with a PhD, though.
Nah, I should have said I'm a nice guy. I get along with everybody.
Well, I was going to make a joke because Corder's not here, right?
Yeah.
I was going to make a joke. We couldn't put both of y'all on a PhD from Northwestern and a PhD from Georgetown. I was going to say the IQ be too high at the table for some of us. That's what I was going to show.
It's good research training. It really is.
Any other questions or anything? Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
We appreciate you coming. Now, you said Corder's not here.
Right.
Okay. Mr. Dotson.
I have some notes and so I'm going to rely on them just to make sure I go through things. So good evening, thank you for your time and to consider my application to be on the planning board. My name is Stephen Dotson and I'm a resident and native of Pleasant Grove Township. As part of the third generation of our family, we have a deep and rich history of living in, working in, serving in, and growing Alamance County. My grandparents, Jenny and Bessie Cobb, farmed tobacco and raised their 5 children on Venture Road, which is where my wife and I currently reside on part of the open farm. After graduating North Carolina High School in 2002, I attended Alamance Community College where I earned my associate's degree in mechanical drafting, as well as other university level credits. I then went on and attended North Carolina A&T University in Greensboro, from the year 2006 to 2010. And there I earned a bachelor's degree in civil engineering and a second bachelor's degree in geomatics engineering. Geomatics is an fancy term for answer.
Thank you.
During my time in college, I worked for a local engineering firm in Burlington that offered land development consulting and design services. Throughout my 16 years in this industry, I've had the opportunity to work at various design firms located in Durham and Raleigh areas, as well as with Alligator Farm and King, located in Burlington. I'm a North Carolina licensed civil engineer, and I now work at Summit Design and Engineering Services in Hillsborough. Working in land development, I'm very familiar with the approvals that a project must obtain for construction and determining how it fits within the fabric of the community. Beyond my technical background, I also have experience presenting projects to planning boards, councils, and commissions throughout North and South Carolina. Seeking and gathering the public's opinion and input has also been critical to each of those projects. I would like to put that experience to work for the benefit of my community and Elements County. I also continually find new development projects, especially local planners, to be exciting, and I'm passionate about being on the forefront of those plans and knowing what is coming to the area. However, I also believe that it is vital for growth and expansion to be done responsibly, and that new development should add value to the community and serve the intended users well. So with that, again, I appreciate your time, considering my background, and hope that you may find me as a good fit to the ceremony.
Now, before we started, Taylor looked up, I think you got Union Ridge on here. I think you're actually in Pleasant Grove. Isn't that what we came up with?
I'm in the Union Ridge community of Pleasant Grove Township.
Yeah, Pleasant Grove Township. Yeah, we go, this board goes by townships.
Sure. Yes, sir.
Does Jerry still live down on Blanchard Road?
Jerry
Shaw?
I'm not familiar.
Good. Because I live over on McCray Road, so.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, so that's somewhere the line is right there somewhere. That's from Pleasant Grove. Because I'm closer to Pleasant Grove than you are. But I'm in Possett Township, so I don't understand that. Where you're at, was that where the gas line was gonna come through, pipeline?
No, there was not a long much road, or at least in my area.
Okay. I just didn't know. Does anybody got any questions or anything?
Go ahead. Studying, have you looked at the land development plan? As you know, it was probably filed by better through engineering, but have you studied on it a little bit, and how you, what's your input?
Sure, I'm also a previous employee of them. However, I am aware of the land development plan, and that it has gone through some revisions. I'm not as familiar with the details of it, but as much as I am appointed for expansions, property owners, and new development, I also feel like that it's very important for them to have oversight as well. So,
I was just looking up where Blanchard Road was. No wonder you don't live there. I'm thinking about Faulkner Road, not Blanchard Road. Too many people I go to church with that. Because you got past the country venue at Walker Farm.
that's my,
Are you beside him? Is that who you live next door to Walker?
yes, that's my, yeah. One that, that's me. I actually got married.
Okay. I was gonna make comments about Brian again, but never mind.
Oh, go ahead.
You're welcome to Keith's family.
Well, I was gonna say, and the Cobb's out there. Okay, I knew the Cobb sounded familiar, but I put it all together now. A little slow. Any other questions for Mr. Dodson or anything? We appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
That should be all that we have.
Okay, so that's all that.
May I ask one question, Mr. Pierce? Yeah, what I'm saying is next issue number, I do not get a vote, is that correct?
Correct.
Thank you. Just want to clarify that.
Now, as the vice chair filling in for the chair.
Yeah, you do the chairs, just votes just the same.
Yeah, but I can't nominate, right?
And if you want to, you go all the process, everybody else.
Oh, cool. Now, how do we want to do this? Do we want them to,
Only one at a time.
but do we want them to leave the room while we discuss, or how do we want to handle that? That's up to us.
That's the board's preference.
But I think they would probably, it's open meeting, so they would be able to say, it's not something you do in a closed session or anything like that, so.
Thank you. So that's why we have an attorney here. Aye.
Question. Sure. So we already have one candidate on this list who's been before the county commissioners before. We are potentially readdressing that, and could we nominate him to go back again, or is that, so we're starting from scratch?
We're starting from scratch because the county commissioners never voted on him.
Why did the county commission not vote on him?
Initially, when it came before our board, he had a demonstrated. The board member didn't have a conflict. We had one board member that particularly had issues with people serving on other boards and commissions and whatever. I don't think that has any bearing in my mind, but it certainly did with one of the board members. And what was brought to us for a vote was a single vote. The others were not considered before the board of commissioners at that time.
This single member was not voted on that night and was sent back to us.
I don't think it's a negative at all. One single name really was brought to us for a vote, as opposed to multiple.
When I listened to the county commissioner meeting, both people were, and you said to send one back for reconsideration and nominated him. Oh, I know that's correct, sir. Be respectful.
I stand corrected.
Because I don't understand why he didn't come to a vote. There was one, oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's not even the way. We're on the same page.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there was a nomination for that one individual in a second. And I don't remember anybody nominating a second member. So correct me if I'm wrong.
Our two people came to you for a yes or no vote. And the way I heard the meeting, one person had no conflict with, one person did. The people we send, I assume, do not have to be unanimous. Is that correct? So 3-2. So it never came to a vote. I mean, we sent them. Yeah, when we sent it to you, the county commissioners, I assumed y'all would vote on yes or no, whether somebody nominated them or not, because otherwise.
Still my memory. My recollection was that only one was nominated, we got a nomination and then a second. That's my recollection. You could easily be wrong.
Yeah, I don't attend those meetings.
Okay, that's
So,
fine.
I mean, I know broad concepts what happens, but details like that, I'm just afraid I'd have to look it up.
That was an evening meeting. I had zoomed in that night, so I wasn't in person. But if I remember the conversation, there was some discussion on, Andrea had actually given up her seat right before that meeting. And we already had 2 member positions open. So the board moved on, pretty much replacing Andrea, took the other 2 because we had one more additional application and then one more since then, and asked that all applicants come back to the planning board for reevaluation.
And that's my recollection.
Okay, so they never actually voted yea or nay.
No, we kicked it back with that additional application.
Only one name, really came.
Remind me, was there a motion and a vote to send the name back to us by the county commissioners? How did that process work out to get back to where you are right now?
Again, I could easily be wrong, but my recollection is that a single name came before us and a second was made as to that one name. And then I don't think there was any action taken on any of the others.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead, Troy.
So we make a recommendation of a nominee. When it goes to the commissioners, that recommendation has to be nominated by the commissioners before it can be voted on. Is that the procedure?
I thought it was yea or nay. Well, no, I mean, the commissioners retain the ability to appoint someone who wasn't recommended. They can appoint anybody they want to the board.
I had that experience with Recreation Parks Commission. We sent somebody up there to be voted on back in November, October last year. And that person was told no, and the commissioners themselves chose somebody else to fill that position. Although we as a board had recommended this person to fill that particular role.
Okay.
And I was not on the board at that time.
But this is the previous commission.
Yeah, oh, that's fine. I just wanted to ask, because I listened in, so I just wanted. Now, do we have any discussion?
Yeah. So, going back to that point, Gene, was, I thought when we voted on the two names we recommended to send to, I thought there would have been, I know it was supposed to, or it was presumed that it would have been on the next agenda, and it was not. It didn't come up on the agenda to maybe 2 months later for whatever reason. I don't know and don't understand and really don't want to know, because I think there's a lot of back we're talking about that. Okay, which didn't make me happy about that. But we had recommended, this board voted on sending two names to the county commissioners, and it was ignored for several months. Am I not correct about that?
I don't remember which month we sent, but it didn't go on the agenda immediately. It took off.
Not go on the agenda. All right, so those two names were not voted on until several months later, and then another seat came available. And I think somebody felt then, ooh, there's no conflict there, because there seemed to be a conflict in somebody's mind from the county commissioners here. All right, that's my understanding of the following very close. And so Rodney's name only came back up after Andrea decided to drop off. But the other name should have come up because it was still a recommendation from us. I mean, the board that we're here to advise who we think will do a good job. And that didn't happen. So I'm not sure. I think that's where the least confusion comes from. What happened to that and why didn't it come up from the board? Yay or nay?
We're back in the same position again. No disrespect, I just was curious as to why we're back in the same position again. If there's something we need to know, or what happened to bring us back to at least one of these positions to really consider at first.
I would suggest this board. Yeah, 3 others, correct? Two of them. I would suggest you send up the best two that you have. And then, so you'll be there to make that presentation. And at that point, then it is purely the board's discretion, the county commissioner, to make the appointment. And besides, if you're correct, we don't have to appoint, Mr. Pierce has indicated, we don't have to appoint anybody, whether you submit them or not. But I personally like being able to appoint things that you guys support. That's me personally. I'm one of 5 votes. I will make the final decision.
I guess from one perspective is, then we wish we would have at least made that vote one way or the other, yes or no, instead of letting it just kind of simmer back and push it back on to the board, because we already made that recommendation. That's all.
Yeah, that's what, I mean, anybody we send up there, I'd rather have a yay or a nay, rather than, well, let's send it back and rethink about it. When we're just in a constant loop here. I mean, if you don't want to say no.
Yeah, I don't like you not being able to have a full board, because it's hard enough with 13 members to have a quorum anyway.
Yeah.
And so I'd like to, be able to put on the agenda for, I set the agenda on Wednesday, and this is not on the agenda for Wednesday.
It is not. You have to go to the first meeting in June. for the agenda.
So.
But it would still be before they meet again.
Yeah.
So regardless of what you guys do, it will not be on our meeting for next Monday. It'll go, to June 7th. And we'll be on that meeting, and I'll make sure it's on the agenda for that meeting.
Yeah, I mean, speaking for me, I'd rather just have a yay or a nay. Because I mean, we're dragging the same people back for 6 months.
I don't have an argument with it, but I'm going to find,
Well, the question or concern that I have is we have of these potential nominees, we have one that has been sent and sent back. And clearly beforehand, we felt like that was the best. There were two, and as a collective group, we felt like those were the two best. If we send that back again, what my concern is, are we gonna be back here a month from now with another rejection and starting over from one more and bringing all these good people back for another round of planning board monopoly, you know, and that's not fair to them or fair to us. We've got other things we need to be dealing with. We've been here now an hour, and we're where we are, or where we were months ago. Sure.
no, I agree. To this degree, you only need 3 of the 5 votes.
Well, as Gene said, we just need a vote, you know, one way or another, of anybody that we send over. It helps us to know what to do.
I'm like William, I thought we voted on 2 people, but he got kind of fuzzy. He kind of got lost.
Yeah.
That was done in October or November.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we started this in November because we wanted to have a full board by January. Or if I'm not mistaken.
That was the plan, right?
Yeah, that was the plan.
Kick off the ground running and, you know, be good.
Because
We got a lot of stuff on our plate.
Yeah, I was saying, we got a lot of stuff.
There's things to do.
Okay.
Right.
So,
So I guess, you know, we've got a lot of great qualified people here, guys, to look at. I mean, a lot smarter people than I ever dreamt about being. Not that I dreamt about being smart. I'm just saying, you're right about the PhDs and all these experiences and stuff like that. I'm kind of looking at my own take on this thing was, we're only really, in my opinion, I'm not speaking for anybody else here, in my opinion, we are recommending one. I think we already recommended one that we felt really good about. And that was a lot of discussion too. I can remember when I voted for Blake Cobb, it was between 2 candidates and I could have went either way. And I'm saying, well, out of the days, that one candidate was already serving, another candidate wasn't. You know, let them have the opportunity to be a part of this process. Everybody wants to. There's a lot of people that want to be part of the process. They are part of the processes in other parts of the county, other committees, other boards. And there's other members here that are on multiple boards. I get that point. When I voted for Blake, I also chose a younger person, somebody that had maybe newer perspective. You know, I wouldn't want to, you know, vote with, you know, such a young person that maybe was from the woke culture, as we would say nowadays. But I mean, you know, I know where he comes from. I know he's a hardworking guy. He's probably more of my mindset in the field, working with our hands. And that's just how I felt about it at the time. We have a lot of great people, and I don't know, this is going to be tough. And every one of these people are qualified. Every one of them.
now, my thought process goes, like you said, you're splitting hairs between a lot of them. Okay.
Yeah.
And Mr. Paisley's made the comment before, you know, we have areas in the county that we don't have representation from. So when you look at it that way, no offense, we could cut, if we go, okay, well, right now, there's 13 townships in Alamance County, and 5 of them are represented.
Only 5. That's unbelievable.
So do we want to put somebody on that's already got representation in a township, or do we want to go to look at a different township? I mean, if that makes sense. You know, hey, I am speaking of one of the three from Fawcett, so, you know. But I've only got a year and a half and then I gotta go, so there'll only be two of us then. You know, and I agree with you. I mean, I nominated. Like I said, that's why I asked if I could nominate, being the chair. I didn't think he could nominate. But I nominated him and Mr. Cobb. So you know where my ideas are at. So like you said, I'm thinking we're looking for one. And I would love for the county commissioners to say yes or no. Because if it's no, I don't even know if we have to bring these people back unless somebody new came in and just pick from the great list we already got. I mean, that's my opinion. I know we'd like people to show up so we can look them eye to eye, but we've already looked these people eye to eye. I mean, you know, I think I take pretty good notes. You know, I might keep up with them for a month if that happens. But I mean, the floor is open for nominations, but, you know, or, you know, if we want to continue to discuss it, if you got, anybody else has any comments, feel free. Because I feel like I'm a loud mouth anyway, so I'm trying to keep up with Bill.
Well, I think tonight you got a good opportunity to, if you want to get people from a different township, you got some candidates here to choose from. That's the direction that you're going to go. Get more representation from different areas.
Yeah, I mean, that's
good.
You know, I know that's what Mr. Paisley, I mean, I wasn't here, I was on the Zoom call, but I know he was more worried about representation from areas that we don't have representation from. You know, that was a comment he made at the time.
You know, we had it, Thompson Township.
I didn't either.
What was that again, by the way, Thompson?
Thompson Township.
Well, it's between Hillhole and the bridge in Saxon.
Okay.
Once you cross the bridge, you're in Hole.
Okay.
New, but it's Hole new one as we vote because you get down Mount Olive Church. It's south new one.
Okay, so I'm not a map person, okay? So Newland is southern part of the county, right?
Correct. Southeast.
All right, and Fawcett, I better hope it's north. Burlington's in the middle. Where's Morton Township?
Northwest.
Northwest. And then Patterson. Southwest. So we got 5 from the south, 4 from the north, and 1 in the middle.
This list you've got, this is what's.
There's one not on that list. And that is, the last one. That's Stephen.
Mr. Dotson.
Yep.
Also, this is where they're from.
Yeah,
Right.
that's the
That's their
district.
taxes.
Yeah, township. I'm sorry, I keep saying district. And I need to move. I need to be more. Sounds like
I think it suits you.
You're northeast.
Yeah, no, I'm in the northeast. So we're open for whatever y'all want to do.
So from a legal perspective, Mr. Legalese, do we need to re-nominate Blake Cobb?
That's my understanding would be yes, that there are 2 openings and you've been asked to make 2 recommendations.
So just the question on that point is how strong we feel about sending Blake back in through. So that, are we standing our ground on that, or do you think there's other discussion on that?
Well, I think there's 2 things you can do. One is make the nomination, see if you get a second vote on it. And if you get enough of this group to approve it, then ask the chairman of the commissioners if in fact they'll hear it, if it comes to them, and get a straight answer. And that right there will give you a good idea. Now, if they vote against it, then there's you got your vote.
I was gonna say that's,
You know where they stand, but it looked to me like that's what you want to do.
That answer the question, what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think that's the best procedure. We're right. Yes, I'll renominate Blake Cobb for, seat on the planning board. What we did 3 months ago.
Do we have a second? Second? All in favor, raise your hand so I can count. Your hand was up, wasn't it? All right, so that's unanimous. All right, so that's probably. Oh, that's right, I'm sorry, all opposed, that's sitting here, okay. My bad, I don't normally get the lead. I'm usually tasked with making smart comments. All right, so that's one. And that takes care of somebody from Pleasant Grove. We're looking for somebody in different townships. But that, you know, like I said, that's just my opinion. You know, everybody has an opinion. Now, of the other. One out of 9.
I would nominate Sandy Graves. I understand she's from Newland Township, but I think she'd bring a lot to the board, being able to get on to the school system, to the school board as well.
We have a nomination.
I'll second.
Got a second? All for, all raise your hand. All right, that's 5. All opposed. And you, okay? So that's our 2.
Yeah, I mean, if that's the vote, then that's.
Yeah.
Everybody's happy with that.
Everybody? We had 2, we voted on 2.
Great. I'll get this written up and I'll get on the agenda for the first June meeting. That is a 9:30 a.m. meeting on June 7th. So it's out across the
I
street.
apologize. That's gonna be moved. It's also.
For the budget.
Hearing. It'll be at 7 o'clock. We'll, Monday, we'll vote on moving it from the 9:30 to 7 p.m. And it'll probably be at Williams High School.
Okay.
Will they hear will there be other business heard?
It'll be a
Budget.
hearing for the budget.
And that's all? Is that all?
It's not, well, there's no way to know 3 weeks in advance, but my guess is there'll be something else on the agenda, but I can't tell you what it would be. I would recommend that those 2 candidates be present for that meeting. But they don't have to be, but I would think it would be a small thing to do.
Sandy, once we get all that confirmed at the next commissioners meeting, we'll send you an email, let you know about that. And we'll get, it's like,
Yeah. Thank all of y'all for showing up multiple times. We apologize, but we appreciate it. I mean, I tell everybody, timing is the thing. 6 years ago, you couldn't give away a seat on the Alamance County Planning Board. I mean, we had like 7 people total and had all kinds of openings begging people to come, and nobody wanted to come.
Because one person showed up.
Yeah, I just showed up and some dude resigned and they said, okay, you can do it. I'm like, okay, thank you. And I've been here ever since. So I mean, you know, that's the reason we don't resign. You doggone right.
Do you still have consent agenda items on your stuff, or is everything aligned?
Yeah, I'm going to request, and I'm the chairman, so I'll have some discretion, but my recommendation will be at that point, unless we have other board members that just don't agree, and anybody can take it off the consent agenda, but I will likely place it on the consent agenda. Which would mean that nobody has to be there, but any county commissioner can move to take it off the consent agenda and it will happen. So if that happens, I would want those 2 candidates to be present if at all possible.
In case of discussion.
In case it's an issue.
I mean, you know, speaking for me, I would just like to have a vote yay or nay. Because, you know, like I said, I listened to the meeting. I know one county commissioner was adamant against, and one county commissioner had no problem. So to me, that was 1-1. Okay, let's see how the other 3 fall, you know, and be done with it. You know, because like I said, if three of them don't want this candidate, that's fine. And like Mr. I don't even want to get into that. I mean, do we want,
Wasn't there something in the bylaws about alternates or someone was, I remember.
it used to be that way. It used to be that, correct me if I'm wrong, Rodney, you could only have two members that voted from each township. So like, if there's three from Fawcett, I think me and Mr. Hall could vote, and if Ray was here, he could.
Two, it could have been one vote.
Oh, was it two and only one could vote? Okay. So yeah, and then and that's when we didn't have enough people. So we said, hey, everybody on here can vote. So that's.
I want to bring that up to all of it, because like I said before, there's so many people here that are very qualified that if they were interested to at least be part of the discussion, they wouldn't have voting capabilities, right? But they could be part of discussions.
Well,
offer opinions.
And that technology is available now.
Right.
You don't have to be a member of the board to discuss, vote. And a lot of people think incorrectly that if you come in here and sign up to speak, you can only speak for 3 minutes. However, if the chairman or a board member asks somebody a question from their professional perspective, they can answer the question. And they are not restrained by time to do so. So if I had a speeding ticket and I wanted to know what the story on that was, you wouldn't
This
be
board or the county commission?
This board. Yeah. Yeah.
But I would certainly think that if you had a professional sitting in the room at a commissioner's meeting, and you were talking about something and y'all didn't have all the information, and you knew for a fact that that person did, I would hope that you would say, well, Mr. Willoughby, can you tell me the difference between a rose bush and a pansy? And let him tell you and not saying, by the way, you got 3 minutes to do it. I'd hope you'd get the facts. So when the question was, are we going to re-landscape the whole county with roses or pansies? And y'all voted on it, you know the right thing to do.
I would believe it.
Well, I believe I let him speak
Because said,
first.
you know, I guess, I'm sorry, but I think I misunderstood. I thought you meant, let's send these 2 candidates up there, and if one of them don't pass, have an alternate to go that they can pick from. Because
If you wanted the planning board ordinance as set by the county commissioners no longer allows alternates.
Okay.
That was changed to get rid of that. There's 13 actual members now.
yeah, because they could throw out, no offense, Ms. Graves, you're here. They could throw Ms. Graves and say, we don't want her, we're gonna pick whoever. And, you know, like you said, that would be the end of it. So,
Yeah, we don't want to go to the wars that way.
yeah.
They can do that.
Oh, yeah.
They don't need our permission.
There's so many people here that, you know, if they're interested, then I still would encourage them to be part of this process. And
Yes.
To your point, they can be part of this process.
Well,
How many meetings did you come to and how much participation did you have before you?
hey, that's why he wasn't chairing no more, because he let Bill talk.
Yes, yes.
But yeah, I mean, feel free, if y'all want to come and participate, feel free. I mean, you know, tonight would be a night, we got 13 members. I mean, tonight would be lovely to say, hey, we got 22 members and we're gonna take everybody. But then in 2 years, we might have 37, or I was gonna say 7, just to be honest. But yeah, because I mean, that's, you know, we've got a lot of things that are going to be coming down the pike that are going to, well, oh, I'm still speaking, ruffle a lot of feathers. I mean, I've got my opinion. I got an opinion of what no offense, Mr. Paisley, what the county commissioners, I pretty much think I know what they're going to do. And because the ones that started all this small area zoning planning, if you notice, there's only one left and the rest of them are gone. So you have a whole new county commissioners that are looking at a whole new thing from new eyes. So the previous regime is gone and it's all new except for Mr. Carter. You doggone right, I said it. Like I said, I got it right here. If they don't, I can roll it right now.
Now, applicants, just for y'all to know, the county keeps your applications for 2 years. Should there be, we know that there are some terms that will expire within that 2 years. We will call back just as we done this time and ask if you want to be considered.
And don't feel bad, they didn't vote for me the first time either, I wore them down. So, if you, like I said, if you're interested, the best way to get your name in there is show up, participate. Like I said, they just plucked me out of a crowd one night, so. A crowd of one, I think I was the only one there. But we really do appreciate it. Now, I'm gonna turn the meeting back over to Ray.
And I gotta say, when,
Oh, yes, sir.
just to, before we vote, I as county commissioner, we really appreciate everybody. If we go to it, I don't get a vote on this one. I do get a vote on this one. But I appreciate everybody. It's just one patient.
Tanya?
Yes, sir.
I believe it brings up our Alabama County Unified Development Ordinance.
Yes. I'm trying to get my computer back real quick.
Y'all are obviously welcome to stay, but if you need to take me out.
Yeah, if you want to leave, that's fine. Thank you.
Yes, we can go to intermission for just a couple minutes.
Let's call a 5-minute recess.
Please.
Got a bunch of old men in here.
You doggone right. I have to drink my, whatever this jug of water that tells me what time I gotta be where to drink it. That works pretty good till you only have a 4-hour Zoom meeting. You can sit there and go, how am I gonna? Yes.
Guys, off the record, I would support your candidates. So I think they're good candidates. But I just want 5 votes. So you don't vote, right? Well, I need 2 to 10.
Well, have y'all been told what the reasoning behind the no family serving together was?
I'm sorry, no.
See, we don't want family members serving together on the same board.
That's one board.
Have y'all been told the why of that?
No.
Well, at a point,
Yes,
you,
yes, she said because she doesn't do that even in her church.
well, you need to ask the question and say, please tell us why this is. Help us understand the thinking. Don't just tell us what you don't do. Tell us why.
Yeah. Talk to another board member, see if they want to ask him. You only need 3 votes.
Well, that's kind of what I was thinking around this.
Very good.
Oh, they wasn't on?
Okay, all right, here we go.
Do we need to start?
No, we don't want to do this here.
No, just for the.
Just for the recess.
No.
I'm assuming recess, Ms. Tanya, what you got for us on the,
I have a very short presentation for you. I want to make sure that everybody knows what the UDO is and what our purpose in this is. So it's only a few slides for y'all. I'll say that. There we go. Okay, here are the list of ordinances that we're pulling and putting into what we're calling the Unified Development Ordinance. It's literally unifying a whole list of all of our development ordinances. I believe there's 14 there. You got your manufactured home dead storage, your manufactured home park ordinance, sexually oriented businesses, solar energy, subdivision ordinance, watershed protection, wireless communication, that's your cell towers, abandoned and junk motor vehicle ordinance, abandoned vehicles, adult establishment, flood damage prevention, height restriction, heavy industrial development ordinance, and the historic properties commission ordinance. Yeah.
Tired of calling. What's the difference in abandoned and junk motor vehicles and abandoned vehicles?
So part of it actually does duplicate each other, but they speak a little bit different to where they are, so that's why we have to.
Okay, and I assume that's the difference in the adult establishment ordinance and the sexually oriented business ordinance?
Yeah.
When you get to the definitions in here, you'll understand some of them are one ordinance, some are the other, similar, but they don't speak exactly to the same. All right, the reason and purpose of the UDO. The General Statute 160D changed us, and we have to be in compliance, or need to be in compliance by the end of June. All of our references, our ordinances are the previous statute that gave counties the authority to write ordinance and enforce ordinance and have penalties and things. Should we get out of that and we don't get into compliance with 160D, we lose some of that authority to enforce our rules. So that's really the driver to this. Instead of bringing all those ordinances individually, just updating the general statute number, we went ahead and pulled them into one ordinance, and they all talk the same language. As part of number 2, being consistent with our enforcement process, that each of our ordinances have a little bit different. We give a violation notice how many days after that till we get to do another one. What is the fine in this one is different than that one. Those kind of things will be really consistent across the county, so this will bring them together. And each violation looks the same, the violation process across the county. Consistent process for development, meaning our mobile home park ordinance has a little bit different procedure than our watershed ordinance, which is a little bit different than our subdivision ordinance, and so forth and so on. This will bring the processes together, and everybody follows the same way of getting through either staff or getting the boards. It's all the same. It really looks a lot like the HIDO, because the HIDO was written, for the most part, with the current law. Some of the other ones were written with old law. And so it feels a lot more like how we wrote the HIDO with notifications and things like that, that were not necessarily in some of the old ordinances. And just the highlights of what we're doing with the UDO, part of what we're going to do tonight is each ordinance has its own definition section. So when we pull all of that together into one definition section, we have a little bit of conflict on a few things. So we're looking for the board to give us some direction on how they want that to move forward. There's just, I don't know, a dozen or so that we need a little direction on. Public hearing requirements were done in 160D in the new law, which I have that pulled up too. And it gives the written notice, it gives the notice to adjoining property owners. You get the posting of the property and you have to put it in the newspaper. That's state law. Very, very much so like what the HIDO was written to, for the ones that most of y'all were around when we wrote all that. And the appeals and enforcement, again, having one process of appealing what would be staff's decision to a board, or appealing from this board, what decision they make, or appealing the commissioner's board decision to where that goes. That is all guided by state law. So that's where we pulled this back in and made it just comply with the law. And it also means that we're writing the Snow Camp zoning ordinance, right? So we've hired our Stewart group. We're moving through the beginning processes of that. That's an 8-month time frame that we're, at least a month into. So That's going on behind the scenes, but to prepare for that to fit into the rest of the county ordinances, we're making room for that in the UDO. So it'll fit and it'll feel a lot like the rest of it. Although written a little bit newer, we're not changing the languages in the ordinances, so some of it's still gonna be dated. But we're making room for this and make it kind of feel like the rest of the county, not stand by itself.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
The previous Board of Commissioners were the ones that said that gave tentative approval to the Snow Camp zoning ordinance, correct?
The current board gave the money to fund
Okay.
the current
All right, I
plan.
just want to make sure they had skin in the game, okay?
So yeah, the previous board gave the idea and we gave kind of the basis in the land development plan. We drew out where the lines would be.
Right.
The new board actually found the funds to go ahead and write that one.
Well, since we asked a question about Snow Camp, I got one,
Okay.
and I'm gonna ask Vicky. When you talk about Snow Camp, where is that? I've been in the southern part of the county all my life. We talk about that as Snow Camp.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like Saxby. If you ask me if I live in Saxby, I'm punching them out. But somebody that's just two houses up from me, oh yeah, I live in Saxby. Because saying Snow Camp is kind of the same way. It ain't just, but it is an area. And you make it.
They're going to Snow Camp Fire District.
No, we're not going to fire district. There's a whole, we combined fire district, Melody Hustle, everything. We looked at this map, it's in the land development plan. It goes all the way west to the county line, all the way south to the county line. And it goes east and kind of touches on the Eli Whitney area. But the map is in the land development plan of where the Snow Camp area is defined.
There's an actual map.
So, my question is, in that designated area, what percentage of the residents are in favor of zoning that? Has it been voted?
I have no idea.
No.
The only perspective you can give to that is when, Anya, Planning Department, Taylor, and Jake were doing the meetings, the Zoom meetings, and they did surveys. And there was a high percentage of the surveys were in favor of doing something either involved with snow camps, small plan, or something like that in that land development.
The reason I asked the question, about 30-some years ago, there was some talk about putting that landfill in Snow Camp. And I went to the meeting at the civil school. And I believe everybody that lived in Snow Camp was there at that meeting. And they all said, you ain't put no landfill over here. And I just wonder if you got that same percentage of support.
So, when, and I want to respond back, when we had in, state of North Carolina, DEQ had their, public meeting, there at the Silverton School also.
And I was there for that.
One of the four. And probably, I don't know if there was any of, dissension, or support of the four, maybe one or two, I don't know. But I think most of the public comments during that was, no support, right? So I don't know, I think that's where it stemmed out. A lot of people felt they needed some protection.
Yeah.
And I'm still kind of, myself, I'm still kind of like, because we talked about land rights and we talked about, zoning rights, maybe zoning, the whole county, maybe start with small. And it's a fine line because property rights you have, a good safety. You talk to some of your friends on the western part. So they asked me for Snow Camp. Now, I'm going over there to Pleasant Hill Community Church, right? And this is how we put it out. And yeah, the Liberty address. It's Henry Township, right? He was up the road, so on the road, right? So the fine where Snow Camp is, start at the store and kind of bring it down like the line a little bit. I can find my address is Snow Camp. On Quakenbush Road. Somebody else's may be Grant or Liberty, something. Eli Whitney. Built the church on Concord where we used to go. Yeah. That's right address. It's kind of like
Yes, we don't get to
got a
control
snow-
the
we got
post
a
office.
snow camp, post office, on Reed, so. I'm not really sure where to find, that's probably some discussions with the small area plan and the land development coming up. If there's gonna be areas that are, the people don't wanna be involved with it, how far should this, small area plan, the oversight should be a full out, zoning that, has a lot of restrictions or some kind of hybrid? Yeah, I don't, answer that question, starts at snow camp sort of thing, straight out.
I have said in these meetings before, and I come here in January 2005, first time. And there's never been a person to draw a breath that was more staunchly opposed to zoning than me when I came to that first meeting. But over the last 16 years, having learned what this means, if we could have countywide zoning today, I'd stand up and vote for it like this. Because even as bad as zoning is, it ain't as bad as being ordinance to them. So I'm just curious, having been out of the loop for some time, and just didn't know, but what, clearly, Snow Camp doesn't want to rock.
Right, and that's that issue, but, for the future is what I think, we're really talking about, how development will handle a certain part of the county. And, whether it goes from Guilford County and all the way to, where is it, like, Lindyville Road right now, I think that kind of goes somewhere close to that. Or if that area is, I'm not really sure at this point. Got a lot of discussion about all that.
Yeah.
And whether it's spread out to the rest of the county, I don't know. I think they chose to do the small area plan, first because it was a quicker, less intensive, cost less money, and Jake and Tanya already did all of it.
It's a good start. We're trying to get a feel for what the county likes and gives us faith.
That's satisfying. Okay, awesome. Ms. Turner?
Okay, so.
One thing.
Oh, sorry.
As a county commissioner, I'm sure I got 150 or more emails, calls, could be closer to 200. The majority were for some kind of zoning in the snow camp area. But we got some very, very vocal, both written and verbal comments opposing zoning whatsoever. So that's where the county commissioners were looking at this picture, because in fact, I went out there again this week and drove to explore the boundary lines of the snow camp area. I did that, went out to the operations house, and so forth, which is right, almost this year. So, also was looking at the tornadoes, that was done over the past weekend. But there's a lot of controversy, and that's what the five commissioners will be facing.
That's fine, that's fine. I am digging into this, but I will throw out to the board. In the ordinance you all have, there's options for 2 meetings a month. Fourth Thursday meeting is an option. I know it's getting close to 9 o'clock. This is gonna take a few minutes to go through. I don't know if the board wishes to continue this tonight or to pick this up at a separate meeting to only have this on the agenda to talk through the stuff we need to talk through. Like I said, it's got to be approved by commissioners looking for the end of June by state law. So,
Drop in date to get there as well.
well, so I'm going to start discussions with them next week, similar to that PowerPoint I just showed y'all, so that they understand what we're coming to them with. But they'll not vote at that first meeting in June. They've got the budget going. So that last meeting in June is what I'm hoping for them to get a vote in.
What's everybody's opinion on that? Second meeting for this month.
The 27th.
Yeah, but that's getting close to Memorial Day.
Okay, so nobody asked any more questions.
Well, that's not, I'm hoping for that, actually.
Well, that's what I mean. How long do you think it's gonna take to go through? if you had kids.
If y'all just listen to me talk, 45 minutes
45 minutes.
with no additional discussion.
Have another meeting.
That's, okay, everybody's included.
So what day coming out?
It's an option of that fourth Thursday. You're not set in stone by state law. We can call a meeting whenever we want. We have 48 hours notice. Yeah, so within 2 days notice, I get that out to whatever we want to do.
Or you can recess this meeting for time day, so you can pick when you want your next meeting to be, and just continue this meeting to that time. And that would also be perfectly fine. Then you don't have to tell notice.
Next week, next Thursday, we can do it.
After 60. Not involving county commissioners, but maybe the law should be involved. I don't do that.
You don't have to have a Thursday either. You
Yeah,
can
we're
leave
gonna
it
decide
as
next week, any day next week, we'll see how many conflicts. Or another day, I should say.
Yeah, I'm probably going out of town on 17, 18. That might be Tuesday, but I can be back.
This month I'm flexible. Next month,
I mean, I'm
not so much.
Yeah, I'm thinking we gotta get,
Yeah.
we gotta get this.
Next Wednesday, 19th, is it, is there any conflicts with that?
Well, I was saying, if y'all have any other board meetings or anything. How about you? I know. I mean, is everybody good with the 19th?
What time of day are you talking? We're not.
7 o'clock.
Yeah. I mean, I make a motion.
Much before 5.
Well, make a motion to reset.
What are the board
Make
wants?
a motion to recess to time day.
All right, so, I just got this. Kind of email on this.
You can come back and see us. Sir.
Yeah, I had to come back to this one. In any case, just reading over this, now, we talked about, the purpose of the UDO is to consolidate stuff, like you said on one of the previous slides, permitting procedures, notice, and stuff like that. So, has any of the language inside any of the ordinances been added or deleted? And if so, can we mark up the changes? I did find one, and it perplexed me a little bit, I'll admit that. And I just want to know if there's been other changes that we should be aware of that was changed, or addition, or subtraction.
So we have modified. We've, even part of what we modified is to meet state law. When we had duplications, we modify to make it all come into one. So the whole ordinance is a possible modification because of the way we've had to do it. The meaning behind and the context of, no, it was not modified.
I mean, do you want me to bring up point?
Tell me what you saw, yes.
Okay. All right, so on page,
There's no page numbers yet.
obviously it's,
I've made it even easier.
I'll give you one guess, it was in the highlight.
What section are you in? Try section number.
625.
Now, what, you go ahead and tell me what part you're looking at while we look for it.
Operation setback, 625. And, that's, the industrial development ordinance, 625. Anybody else, and I will find it here. I try to make a motion. All right. Section, operation setback actions in, section B. On page.
No page number yet. We're not there.
With the hat on is, operation setback language that matched up on the 2020 highway we just approved, that voted in here, right, in the year. And there was language added, and the language added after it says vegetative screening and fencing are allowed by right. So by right was added, And then the other language that was added that wasn't in 2020 was other design elements may be located within the operation setbacks when required as a condition by other than local, state, or federal permits or regulations. So that is added sentence into the IDO that I don't know where it came from.
Okay.
I guess I would
What's the
like to
com?
know, since I found that one. Now, obviously I know the HIDO ordinance very well because we sat on the subcommittee and we were involved with that very near and dear to me, right? I got the moratorium right now is protecting ourselves part of the HIDO, right? What we got, so I haven't had a chance to read through every ordinance and compare it. So I'd like to know if there was other languages changed because they be highlighted or, you know, or do I have to read through all 60 ordinances? In my spare time.
Traditions will tell you that may and shall have very distinct different meanings in the law. May means it could happen, and shall means it will happen.
Well, there's been a lot of confusion, and all that the language in there, without that language didn't address when another local government required something to be in an area, it simply wasn't addressed at all. So I added that to clarify our interpretation, because that's the interpretation of the planning department, and that we have said is that's how we're gonna read it. But because it wasn't addressed and the confusion has come up about it, we're trying to get a straight answer.
So from that perspective, that was, that was one of the contentions on the board questions from the state situation to the county situation. It seems like now with the county situation, we have actually allowed that language that the state is allowing, even though the state statute says that the state law does not circumvent the county. So it's saying on the county bound to the state, where the state statute actually supports the county from having strict law to a degree. Now, I've got 160D, and I haven't found that exact language. I'm not talking from the PhD perspective, but it is in there. So I'd like to just talk about that further, and those kind of things, but if there's added language or if there's stuff that was taken out, like some of it either been, you know, highlighted so we know. Because a lot of us haven't read all these ordinances cover to cover or had experience to deal with it. That's all.
So to his question, can those changes be highlighted? Can that?
Some can.
So we're talking about like, just to give a little more context too of like how we've actually got to this document. We're talking about like 20 plus more ordinances that all have their own, like, why are we creating this? This is what it holds. This is what will happen if you don't do it. So just by that nature of like having so many, you have to cut and paste. So like if we were to highlight all the changes, I might just highlight the entire document.
Right.
She's been working on this for a full year.
Right. The first draft is 250 pages. This is 160.
So, just off the top of your head, nothing I can hold you, I can take it to. How many ordinances do we have?
We have 60 ordinances, so all don't apply to development.
The Alamance County has 60 ordinances. If we had county zoning, how many of those ordinances would we get rid of? 60.
No, some of them don't apply to development. You've got an animal control, a noise, this and that we don't actually touch. So I mean, we're gonna roll in 20-ish.
Yeah, but I mean, some of the provisions from those will stay the same. Some of them won't.
But if we zone it, it won't be an ordinance.
Well,
Zoning is an ordinance, yeah.
It'll be a zoning ordinance. We'll have one zoning ordinance, but a lot, just like it will probably be called the unified development. So this will get substantially changed if we have zoning. But the basic idea of you have one enforcement mechanism, you have one appeal mechanism, you have one way of doing things. No matter what the actual rules are, you have one way of processing it, would say the same.
The reason, does this answer your question about?
Well, and to Taylor's point, okay, I get the fabrication thing and all that, and I understand the unified development part, and I can see, that, you know, if you look back everywhere, especially like ones I've been involved with, is the solar and the Idaho. Yeah, there's probably a lot of language there. You go read some of the other ordinances, you can combine a lot of that language. But like for an area like operation setbacks, that is, you know, specific to that item, that's not crossing over in some of these other sections. So you could be able to highlight those changes in zoning specific areas of a division of ordinance that we have, right?
But that language there is not a change. It is writing down something that was previously unwritten. But it's not changing anything that we would have done anyway. It's just wasn't considered in the first go round.
And there will be a lot of things that even as we're doing our best to like capture everything, there are gonna be things that we kind of already anticipate needing to go back and do text amendments to. So hopefully you guys can all have your eagle eye on it now, but we also anticipate that there's gonna be room where we're like, oh, we could have done that better. And ongoing and perpetuity, you know.
Because we have,
Is it possible, this is a really question for Mr. Peters, to combine all these 60 various ordinances into one unified and just have one unified ordinance?
Well, it depends whether you're calling it, you can codify like the statutes and have chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, but that's different than what this process is doing, because our animal control citation is not under chapter 160D. We went through these, all of these regulations, the authority to enact those comes from what is now chapter 160D. And so we have to make sure that all of these comply with new chapter 160D.
So the short answer is no.
Yes.
Well, just. Yeah, I'm sure it's just had me, but you said you came over the first week of January of 05, correct? Yeah. My first meeting was October of '96. From October of '96 to current day now, in Alamance County. There was not even a third of that many ordinances then that what it is now. So adding credibility to what Mr. Chief said earlier, this county is ordinance dead.
Having said that, I move that we recess this meeting until next Wednesday, the 19th at 7 p.m.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second? Motion. Accepted. We recess.
You ain't allowed to vote on it?
What? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So voted on.